Was that action?
Yes.
We are out here at Fort Mountain State Park in North Georgia, up near the Cohota Wilderness, and we came out today for a dry run, a gear test, training, whatever, just to get our packs on, get our gear situated, and put some miles in. While we're out here, I want to take a few minutes and go through all of my gear and basically just kind of show you guys what I take. This is not, it's not the, the be all end all. This is not, there's probably a lot of people out there that make different choices. This is just what I do and how I pack for a multi-day backpacking trip. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about a couple of pieces, and then at the end of it, I'm going to show you how I load my pack, and we'll be good. There's certain things that are kind of well known as the 10 essentials for basic survival and camping. Navigation, sun protection, insulation, illumination, first aid, fire, repair kit, nutrition, hydration, and shelter. So those are the kind of things that we have to have. Everything should be covered in that list. And then if you want to take other things, that's cool. But let's start with that. So let's start with shelter. The next trip I'm going on, we're going to take hammocks. The weather's getting nice, so it's a good time for that. The hammock itself, of course, tarp, where we're at. I don't know if that applies to everywhere. Bug net. As far as tents, when I carry a tent, I've got a two-man half dome REI. I really like that tent. I've tried a couple others. I've tried one man's. They just don't work for me. Sleeping bag. I've got an REI, that's a 15-degree bag. Instacamp. This is a pillow, believe it or not, which to me is a big deal. It doesn't cost a lot of weight, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Sleeping pad. I take a Q-Core by Big Agnes. I spend a little bit of money on my sleeping pad myself. I'm a big dude, I'm getting old. The ground's hard, it's cold. I like having a quality pad. I do most of my backpacking in North Georgia, even in the summertime. Rather, it can get really cold at night. So I always carry a stocking cap. I carry a pair of gloves, and I always carry some extra insulation. Raincoat. Mine is just a Columbia outer shell raincoat. Nothing fancy. Most of the stuff you're gonna find I don't spend a huge amount of money on. I've gotten a lot of stuff for kind of cheap and tried to upgrade over time. So this is a 48-ounce REI Nalgene bottle. This is usually what I take. Some people, I've actually gone out with just kind of the Smart Water bottle plastic. I like the Nalgene because they're durable, they're multi-purpose. I take mine, I put a little bit of duct tape around it, just as a convenient way of carrying duct tape. You'll see that on a lot of my equipment. For filtration, this is my Sawyer setup. So I use just a regular Sawyer water filter, but this is what's kind of cool, I took a platypus bag. This is kind of an old one. I wasn't really using it. This will fit perfectly on the end. So I fill this up, put this on there, the hose from the platypus. I connect to it, and I've got a nice gravity system that I use. And I will do another video specifically on that a little bit later. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on what I carry for actual food. I'm going to do a whole nother video on that pretty soon. What I will say is, something for trail snacks. Personally, I don't like to cook on the trail. I'd rather sit down and eat some trail mix or something. Every once in a while, I will stop and cook up like some ramen or something, depending on the kind of day. But I usually keep it pretty light. Personally, oatmeal in the morning is the easiest thing. These little oatmeal packets come with this line on it. You know what that line means? You tear this thing open, you fill it up to there with hot water, you can eat it straight out of the packet. Mountain House. I'm a fan of Mountain House. What can I say? I'm lazy. I don't want to do real complex cooking. So I usually will do a Mountain House or something like that. This is coffee. I am not going to sacrifice my coffee in the morning. I get both decaf and regular because I like to have some coffee at the end of the day too. They're getting hard to find, but this is Country Time lemonade in individual packets, which are great. If you take those, you can mix these in water bottles. That's a good use for the other kind of like store-bought regular water bottle. Don't mix these into your Nalgene, because then you got to keep your Nalgene tied up. And another little trick I learned: these little instant coffee packets work really good for like kind of fake on the fly cold brew. Just mix those with cold water and hit the trail and you're good to go. So I have a few different stoves. For my next trip, I'm taking an MSR Whisper Light. This is the universal, so I can use different fuels in it. Again, like I said, I'm going on a group trip and we'll be providing a lot of the stoves for it. So I'm carrying this one. It's a little bit more, I guess, durable and a little bit more fuel. Usually if I'm just going out by myself for a couple of nights, I take an iso fuel stove, like a jet boil type or something along those lines, just because it's easier and it's less hassle. This particular case, this is what I'm carrying for my stove. For cooking, I picked up, this is a GSI Soloist, and I combined that with a GSI Minimalist. It's got a couple of different things. Again, some of this is because I'm going with a group thing. I've got some camp soap, hand sanitizer, scraper, and a pot holder deal in there. All of that I pack inside of it. Comes with a pretty awesome insulated pot that can be used as a cup, so that becomes my coffee cup sometimes. Comes with another little bowl. It's a little bit much. Some people would probably say it's too much. For eating, most of the time I'm just eating straight out of a cup. I don't really use plates or anything. And I got a spork. This is a Snow Peak and a GSI cup, and I'll just, whatever I'm eating, if I'm doing ramen, I eat it out of that, or I eat it straight out of the pot, or if I'm doing Mountain House, I eat it straight out of the bag, so I don't need a whole lot for that. I also carry like a little camp towel, just miscellaneous, a bag, and about 100 foot of paracord, and that is for tying up my bear bag. Everything goes into this. Everything goes into this, except for a regular water bottle. We are, at least where I spend a lot of my time, we're in bear country. I've seen them on the trails. Here they're black bears, so they're typically not too much of a problem, but they can be problematic if not treated with respect. So always type your food, always treat it properly. Some places, even here in Georgia, along the Appalachian Trail, require you to have a bear canister. I don't have one yet, so I don't go backpacking in those areas right now, but it's on the list. I always carry some sort of first aid kit. My kids always carry their own first aid kit. I check it. I make sure that if I use stuff in it, I restock it. I'll throw a couple extra things. One other piece of first aid item that's worth noting that's not in the kit, you've already seen it. Duct tape. Little anecdote: on day one of my sawtooth trip, Jay started developing hot spots on his feet and blisters. We stopped probably maybe 2 hours into the hike. He taped up his feet with duct tape, and he was good the rest of the trip. So, duct tape. I always have a couple of different methods of making fire. I carry a lighter. Oftentimes I'll carry a lighter and matches, or I've got this little fire stick, ferro rod type of deal. I carry these little instant fire starters. Love these black diamond headlamps. I've got one, my kids have them. This is a 300 lumen. It's been plenty for what I've wanted, and it's been very, very reliable. Always carry backup batteries. Check this out. This is a cool little trick that I learned. I carry my new batteries with a rubber band around them. That way when I use them, then I know If I have rubber bands on them, they're good batteries. If I've used them, there's no rubber bands on them, and I throw those away. This is an Altoid type can. Open it from the right side. Look, more duct tape. Thread, needles, some vinyl repair, and a little patch kit, that sort of thing. I broke my belt and sawtooth, and I had to sit there on the side of the trail and sew it back up. One thing that's missing from it that I need to get into it, super glue. Super glue is another one of those things. It's kind of repair kit, and it's kind of also medical. Multi-tool. This is a little Gerber dime. Not the most, it's not the strongest. I have bent this, but it does use, it comes in handy for little odd tasks. I always carry a lock blade knife, insect repellent, and sunscreen. I find these little ones you can also get for insect repellent, these little wipes that work pretty well too, and they're smaller. Sunglasses with the cords, so I don't have to keep up with them, and some sort of hat to keep the sun off. This is one of the other essentials, navigation. I always have a map of the area I'm going to, and I always have a compass, and I actually went through and I took one of the REI map and compass courses. Wasn't the best course, but it definitely helped some. So I would recommend doing it, because learn how to use it if you take it. The deuce of spades, right? But it is super lightweight. It weighs 0.6 ounces. I carry a little bit of TP. It's just a little bit of a roll. And I carry these biodegradable Archer wipes. It is what it is. All right, 1 gallon ZipLocs. 1 gallon ZipLocs and the 1 quart ZipLocs. This is really good. I don't have it in there now, but for like money, wallet, things like that. Phone, if your phone's not waterproof. This can be for all kinds of stuff. Mostly trash. So once you eat a mountain house, that's cool. Roll the foil bag up, throw it in here, throw it back in the food bag, and use them for trash bags when you're out there. Carry your stuff out. Leave no trace. I wear a watch. This is not a fancy watch. It's cheap little Timex, but I have a way to track time. Saves a little bit of phone battery while I'm out there, and it's also got the light buff. This is actually the brand buff. I like it because you can do a whole lot with it, but it can be anything from a pot holder to a handkerchief to a hat to a face mask. It's a Granite Gear Nimbus Trace Access. It's a 70-liter pack, and it extends this piece at the top. I spent a week in the sawtooth in this thing, and I was fine. I had no issues. I had plenty of room for my gear. Love this pack. Contractor style trash bags as my my pack line. I don't use the compression bags for my sleeping bag. I do use a separate trash bag. My sleeping pad in with the sleeping bag. This is my clothes. I didn't go through all of my clothes because you don't want to see my underwear. Put that in with my sleeping bag as well. Squish that down as much as I can. Get the air out as much as I can. And then I twist the bag with the sleeping bag and tuck it down inside tent and or hammock rig. If I was doing a tent, then I would take the poles out and probably attach the poles on the side of the bag. My cooking gear, because that stove is actual liquid fuel stove, I do not put that down inside my pack. I'll close up the contractor bag and I'll put it on top of it so that if it does leak out any fuel, it's not leaking it down into my sleeping bag or into any of my other gear. And my food, just because I know it's warm, I'm going to put these inside the bag so they stay dry, but at the very top. Twist the top, tuck it down. Now, this is just the stove, it is not the fuel. Raincoat, put it on top here. My filtration kit, because this will leak and have water. It'll spill out and stuff like that. So I'll put that on top. Toiletries, water bottle, and then like my tools and my headlamp. This is my first aid kit, and I'm going to put the map and compass in here as well, because I know we're on easy trails and we're not going to need the map. Otherwise I'd be carrying it in like one of my pant pockets or something like that. That's it. That's how I do it.